Hey everybody, welcome to the very first ever OrlanDave Guide to Halloween Horror Nights. This is a part one, potentially. I have gone to Halloween Horror Nights 11 times, or 12 if you count last year, so I have a lot of experience as a guest. But this also means that there's a lot of things that are probably automatic that if I thought about it, like, oh yeah, I should tell you guys about it. I do have a lot of information here though, but I may pin a comment, as if there's that many comments you have to scroll through later if I think of a few things. But if you have some comments, ideas, things that I might have forgotten that is going to be useful to others, please leave a constructive comment below. If there's enough information, I will probably make a part two, because I've been to Halloween Horror Nights 11 times. Like I said, I know a few things. So let's start. So here's a list of things that I recommend that you bring either on your way to Orlando, from the hotel, or wherever you may be coming from. Sunscreen. So especially in the beginning of the event, it's still sunny for the first 2 hours. Maybe not an 11 on the UV scale, but if you go to the stay and scream areas, well, I'll get to in a little bit, you're going to want to get there early. They start to open around 4 o'clock. So you probably want to be in the park 3:30, 3 o'clock. At that point, the sun is still pretty strong. So definitely bring sunscreen, and you might want to go to the park even earlier to experience the attractions. There is a pass that lets you in a little bit early, so you can go to the stay and scream areas. It's a Scream Early Pass. Sometimes it sells out, but getting ahead of myself. Sunscreen. So you also may want to bring an extra shirt and a zipper bag because it's Florida. So another thing is, if you are coming here to Halloween Horror Nights or to Orlando later in the year, around October, you might actually want to bring some warm clothes with you to the hotel, because I know that it's happened to me in the past. And I know some of you think that 40 degrees is hot or whatever, but we could get a cold front move through, and one night coming up to Halloween Horror Nights from South Florida, it was about 40 degrees and very windy, and all I had was a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. So if you're coming later in the season, at least consider bringing some of those clothes. You might leave them in the hotel room. You may not need them. Just a recommendation. This one may sound a little strange, but I'm trying to get people to do this more often because it works. And that is an eye patch. They think, well, nothing's wrong with my eye, unless there is, and I'm sorry if it is. But the reason why pirates wore an eye patch isn't because necessarily they had an eye injury. If you put an eye patch over your eye before, I'd say 10, 15 minutes before you go into a house, if it's still light out, because again, in the beginning of the event, it's going to be light outside for the first few houses you go through, it will your eye will get used to the dark so that you can see in the dark. So if you go in with your eyes used to the sunlight, your pupils will be very, very small. And you get in the house and it's dark, you can't see anything. So you put it over one eye, again, 10, 15 minutes before you go into a house. You remove it only after you walk into the house, maybe 5, 10 feet, depending on the house. When you're surrounded by the darkness, you take it off. Suddenly you can see. Now, sure, you can really only see it of one eye, so it kind of throws off your depth perception. It's a little weird because you feel like your other eye is closed, even though it isn't. At least that's my perception of it. However, you can still see with the one eye, and it's better than not seeing at all. I recommend putting it over your non-dominant eye because, your dominant eye will probably catch up sooner and you'll be able to see better. But choose whichever eye you want. And yes, you'll get comments in the line, but this becomes more common. People will probably not ask, but the people who are giving you comments are probably also going to walk into a wall because they won't be able to see. Or a boo hole. So, going along with that, sunglasses. Again, it's going to be sunny out. Maybe not so much later in the year unless you go to the park during the daytime. It is Florida. Our rainy season doesn't end until November. So does Halloween Horror Nights. So you definitely want to bring an umbrella. I'd say something somewhat compact that clips on your belt or belt loop or something, or fits in another item, which I'll get to, which is backpacks. But it's probably going to rain. And again, if you bring a large umbrella, it could swing around, hit somebody, and also it might not rain. And you're going to be standing in a large crowd, so probably don't want to be poking anyone in the eye. The next one is an insulated water bottle. It's debatable that in the past, or at least during the day, usually you're allowed in with outside food or water. During Halloween Horror Nights, that might get a little more strict. But if you come in during the day before the event starts, I definitely recommend bringing one of these. And you can refill them in the park, in the freestyle machines. If you have a good insulated bottle and you put something in that's cold, you do not need ice. Ice just takes up space and gives you less room, because when ice melts, you're left with less water because ice takes up more room than water. So the next thing I recommend you bring is a change of underwear, because it's very scary, and I'm just kidding. But do bring comfortable shoes. This is really for theme parks in general, because you'll be doing a lot of walking, once again, especially if you're going during the day. And back to what I said before, I recommend that you bring a backpack, not only for some other items I have on this list, but merchandise. You might want to buy some merchandise because there's a lot of really cool stuff. If you want to play a carnival game and you win something, you'll want somewhere to put it as well. Probably don't need to bring a really big backpack, but it depends on what you plan on hauling home and what you plan on bringing in. So, it varies. Quick moment though. I am getting ready to move, and I packed my red food coloring. So I tried using some red candy to make this look like blood, and didn't work. Oh well. So moving on. So the next thing is snacks. I need to stop saying so much. Snacks. If you're going to be standing in line a lot, there's a lot of really good food options, as there always has been in the past for Halloween Horror Nights. But maybe you're in a 2-hour line or 1-hour line. I haven't actually seen 2-hour lines yet. And you're a little bit hungry, snacks would be good. Also, earplugs. In my opinion, I don't believe that the scare zones are as loud as they used to be. They're still pretty loud, but the houses are extremely loud. As my brother-in-law once said, it will overdrive your ears. Basically, the sound isn't distorted, but it's so loud that it'll sound distorted because it's too much pressure on your ears. Or it probably won't harm them, but it's so much sound that it causes it to distort in perception. Extra camera batteries if you're bringing a camera and or power bank, because you're going to be probably taking a lot of photos and maybe some video as well. And obviously you don't want your batteries to die. Also, I recommend you buy Express if you can. And I say if you can, not only financially, but some nights it's already sold out before you even get there. So if you're planning in advance, always buy theme park tickets before you leave. Check to see if they have Express, especially if you're only going one night. Strongly recommend Express. It's what I used to do before I moved to Orlando. Now I just keep going multiple nights. Also, consider unmasking the horror. I haven't done that since 2015. I might do it this year because there are a lot of really great houses, especially if you've been to Halloween Horror Nights before and you know a lot of the Easter eggs, because there's some really cool houses this year for longtime fans. RIP tour. The single private tour is stupid expensive. Kind of the point, just like Express is expensive, because if everybody takes the RIP tour, or everybody has Express, then the lines would be just as long, so it wouldn't really work. However, a group RIP tour, not too bad. Unfortunately, you can't go to the Scare Actor Dining Experience anymore. They don't have that. I really wish they did, especially this year with Beetlejuice and Jack. It would be amazing. However, I also recommend staying on site. Just in general, it's a very good thing to do. We have, I call it earlier park admission during the days that we have Halloween Horror Nights, depending on if you can go that long, because normally early park admission starts around 8 a.m. It's an hour earlier because the park closes at 5. And also, side note, remember Superstar Parade is at 2 o'clock on event nights. So, that's a list, pretty comprehensive, I believe, of things to bring. So, what should you not bring? Well, this is just me, but don't bring your Mickey stuff, your Mickey shirts, your Mickey's Not So Scary stuff. I know they're not doing it this year, but you might have it from other years. You're not going to Disney. You don't need your magic band. But that's just me. Obviously, you can bring it if you want to. Costumes. Last year, they made an exception and they let people come in with a costume. There are some kind of gray areas where you can wear things that are clothing that are costumey, maybe, so you might be able to get away with a version of a costume, but officially costumes are not allowed. Also, masks are not allowed. Many years ago, when I went back in 1999, they allowed masks. I'm not sure exactly what year they stopped that, but it stopped and it's not going to resume. You can sometimes have face paint. I'm not sure if I forgot to look up if there's an age limit to that, but it can't be your whole face. Unfortunately, Legoland lets you. I would prefer that you don't bring spray sunscreen. That's just my personal preference, because a lot of people just spray it all over you, or all over people in the park in a very populated area, and that stuff goes all over the place, and then it'll get in someone's eye. And that's not fun. Also, I know it's good to reapply, but you're supposed to put on sunscreen 20 to 30 minutes before sun exposure. So getting out of your car and putting it on, or getting to the gate and putting it on, not 20 to 30 minutes before sun exposure. It works better that way. But please consider not bringing spray sunscreen, or try to find a place where it's not going to blow in the wind and get in people's eyes and nose and stuff, because I don't know, that thing bothers me. Also, don't recommend you bring kids. This is a 13 and over, but at the same time, if you have kids, those kids are your kids. You're the parents. I'm not the parents. Make up your mind yourself. I don't recommend it. So, recommendations in general. If you are coming to go during the day and you don't have an annual pass, buy a day ticket so you can do some rides. There are some rides open during the daytime. However, not all of them are. And if you're going to experience the park during the day for more than 2 days, I recommend an annual pass. Now you might say, well, I live in wherever. I've known people who live in England who have an annual pass. So if you go enough days, you'll spend more money buying individual passes. Now, sometimes I'll have like a deal for 2 or 3 days consecutive. Do your research based on what you need, but the barrier to entry for annual passes as far as saving money is very low. And remember, you'll also get parking and a few extra perks. So consider that. So other things to consider is arrive early. Stay and Scream, which I'll get to a little bit. Stay and Scream opens about 4 p.m. Yes, the event starts at 6:30 officially, but it's usually around 6 o'clock. Stay and Scream opens at 4. So you're going to want to be in the park by at least 4 o'clock, but there is a line that starts before it even opens. As I found, I knew, but I saw again this year when I went to opening night, and that line grew pretty quickly. So also be prepared to stand a lot of lines. A lot of lines. A lot. It might even include restrooms. So back to the Stay and Scream. If you're not familiar, Stay and Scream is a way that you can be in the park before the sweep, before people who only have daytime park tickets and don't have Halloween Horror Night tickets, they need to leave the park. But if you have a daytime ticket and a Horror Nights ticket, or if you buy a Scream early ticket, which does sometimes sell out, you can go into these holding areas. There's 2 of them, one in the New York area, one in the Springfield area, and wait until the houses are ready, the park is clear. Generally, it's about 5:45 p.m. that they will open, but that is the goal. Sometimes the houses aren't ready in time or some other issue. So you might wait longer, but the goal is to be out to send you to the houses at 5:45 p.m., which, if you're paying attention, means about 15 minutes before the front gate. Therefore, you're already in line before everybody else. So this year, for Stay and Scream, we have the 2 areas I mentioned. In the past, up until, 2 years ago, the New York area was the place to be for all of the super popular houses. This year, it's different because some of the bigger IP is in the back of the park, and actually Springfield is the big area to be. Not that nobody will go to New York, but just keep that in mind when you're choosing between the 2 houses, the 2 Stay and Scream areas. So you want to go to Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Bride of Frankenstein, you will want to go into the New York area. There's a statue of Lou Wasserman next to the Starbucks. You'll see 2 white tents. Scan your tickets there, and you can wait in their area for those 2 houses. However, if you want to go to Scary, Ohio, or Beetlejuice House on Haunted Hill, you're going to want to go to the Springfield area. Now, if you're familiar with Stay and Scream in the past, you would go into Springfield to go into Springfield. This year, it's like it used to be for, and I wish they didn't stop this, but there was a way for annual pass holders to go into the event, and it's same as a Stay and Scream basically, but you would be held in the Central Park area. Well, they don't do that anymore. It's similar to that. So if you're near the Hollywood area, going into Central Park, you'll see the Central Park crepes. Those are where the 2 tents are to scan your tickets, your event tickets, to go in the holding area. Do not go to Springfield like you have in the past, because you can't get in there. Now, you'll go into Springfield at one point, at some point when it's ready, but you do scan over in the Central Park area across from Cafe La Bamba. So now you understand that it is actually flipped from years before. Now there still is an area over the Today Cafe that is a sort of catch-all. Please don't plan to go to that area because you can stay in the park, but you will not get out early. The only good part is you can kind of see the opening ceremonies, and you'll still be in the park, which is a little better than being even at the front of the line of the people who stand or sit out there before the park even closes. But you won't be let in early. Also remember, because the event starts at 6 o'clock, there is no free parking at City Walk. If this is your first year, my first year, well, I actually went in 1999, but I don't remember it. So my first year was 2010, which was a big anniversary, of course, Halloween Horror Nights 20. And I'm thinking, well, I don't really know all the lore and all of the Easter eggs and all that stuff. If this is your first year, it's actually a good year to go because there is so much of Halloween Horror Nights history packed in these houses that you'll be able to sort of, I guess you want to call it cliff notes or something. You'll see a lot of things from the past and you'll know in the future some of the things, even though you hadn't been there. So you won't catch all the references, but it's actually a good year to go if it's your first year because it's like a quick study. So also, if you have been to Horror Nights before and you're wondering, and you haven't watched 100,000 other videos, there's a lot of fan service, especially some of the houses. There's a lot of references, and I don't want to really go into spoilers, but it is really cool if you have been paying attention, or at least you can catch up on YouTube if you haven't been there before as well. I hope this list is helpful. I know, like I said, I'm probably missing some things because I'm just used to just knowing them and not thinking about it. But again, leave a comment below if I missed a few things, or if you are interested about other things, you have questions, also leave a comment below. I still have a really small channel, so I can get to all the comments. But thanks for watching this video all the way through. I know it's not as exciting as the videos in the park, but I wanted to be able to control the music. Thanks for watching this video all the way through, and please exit through the gift shop.